Welcome back to Spiritual Combat 101, where we help beginners embark on their spiritual journey by unlocking the basics of spiritual warfare. Today, we're diving into a topic that's close to many of our hearts, our spiritual role in the lives of our children. Before I wrote my book, A Shattered Life Restored, I had always dreamed of having a son. I even named him David before he was born. Many times, I would rub my hand over my stomach, declaring things over his life and praying against any plans the devil could potentially plot against him. How many of us think that far ahead to pray for our children, even before they enter the womb? God will hold us accountable for the children He gives us. Each child has a purpose that should bring glory to His name and edify His people. No one is here just to exist. So, what are our spiritual roles as parents? I've concluded that they fall into three major categories. 1. Praying for them. 2. Teaching them the ways of the Lord. 3. Leading by example. Let's break these down. When should we begin to pray for our children? Some would say conception is a great place to start. But after taking time to study the Bible, and noticed how the devil wanted to kill our Savior when he only heard about his coming and of his purpose, I have surmised that we should follow the examples of Simeon and Anna mentioned in Luke 2 verses 25 to 38, who began praying for Jesus' safe arrival long before he came into the world. In A Shattered Life Restored, Meg understood this. Throughout the book, she is seen praying and declaring the promises of God over her unborn child's life. Meg experienced a lot of warfare for her son's life, and prayer had to be a strong part of her life. As parents, we sometimes don't realize the miracle we are carrying and need to be prayerful over our children before they even enter the world. It is our responsibility to pray for the will of God to manifest in their lives and for God to build a hedge of protection around them, even in the womb. The devil can strike your child from the womb. If the devil went after our Savior, knowing his purpose, do you think he won't come after your children too? We all have an important role in being born. God never created people to just exist. So, don't speak negative words to your children out of anger, you are bringing curses upon them. Now, the second spiritual role I believe we as parents must do in the lives of our children, and that is, when do we begin to teach our children the ways of the Lord? Proverbs 22 verse 6, KJV, tells us, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." This means we should start teaching them from a young age. Jesus, though he was God in the flesh, showed us the importance of this in Luke 2 verses 41 to 52, where he was seen in the temple, listening and asking questions, growing in wisdom and favor with God. Teaching our children is not about shielding them from the world's enticements but equipping them for ministry so they can be a light to others and stand strong in the will of God. It also prepares them to know where to turn and what to do if and when they fall. In A Shattered Life Restored, Meg's son David, like many of our children, fell away from God during his teenage years. His parents fasted and prayed for his deliverance. After talking with him, it was the teachings of the Word that reminded him of God's promise in 1 John 1 verse 9. We must be prepared for times when we won't be around to tell our children what to do or stand in prayer for them. They will need to rely on what we've taught them. God will hold us accountable if we see our children doing wrong and don't guide them away from the wrong path. Now, how many of us will be found guilty of not fulfilling the most important spiritual roles we have as parents, and that is, are we leading by example? Are we allowing our children see Christ in us? Everything we do should demonstrate that we are living for Christ. When you pray, call your children to pray with you, even if they are too young to participate. Let them listen. When you get upset and say things you regret, apologize in front of them. Show them through your daily activities the importance of spending time in God's presence and fellowshipping with others. Leading by example is crucial. Are you fulfilling your spiritual role in the lives of your children? Remember, our spiritual role as parents is vital. By praying for them, teaching them the ways of the Lord, and leading by example, we can help guide our children towards their God-given purpose. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Spiritual Combat 101. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with other parents and subscribe to our podcast for more insights on spiritual warfare. Until next time, stay blessed and vigilant in your spiritual journey. Keep fighting the good fight of faith.